Hey guys, welcome to the Drawing Board Advice Podcast. My name's Morgan. As usual, I'm here with
Riley,
my good friend Riley.
Jumping in.
And today we have so many more important people with us. I'm going to count you as people and not a person. Mr. Bill Wurtz, welcome to the show.
Hi.
How's it going?
Welcome, Bill. This is incredible to be here with you. I'll say today's episode is brought to us by GameFly, one of our favorite boys, longtime supporter of the show. Yeah. Not a day one, I'd say, like a day 15 sponsor.
Yeah, they were around about halfway through.
If the 4 years we've been doing podcasting was in 1 month, a 30-day month, then GameFly has been around since the second week of that month.
Okay.
Does that make any sense to you?
I might follow a little bit.
You're pushing me a little bit. Is that a fork in your hand?
Yeah.
Cool down. This is an advice show. Every week we take your questions and we bring on interesting people that can help give great answers to it. Today we have a lot of, I almost said great questions. Great questions, and Mr. Bill Wurtz here to help answer them. We're going to dive right in. Bill, kind of the way the show works, we're going to ask a question. We'll read the title. Just give us a fake name for this person based on the title. Does that sound good?
I have to name the person?
You'll name, just so they can keep anonymous.
Oh, cool.
You'll give them a fake name, and then we'll read and kind of go from there.
Okay.
These better be interesting.
Well, the questions are actually pretty great for this. I think these are the best questions we've had in like a month. The title of this question, Bill, is Daddy's Footsteps. Do you have thoughts?
Wait, do they know that they're asking me, or are they just asking to anyone?
They're asking generally to the show.
Yeah.
So
cool.
They know they're asking us or a guest of the show.
Okay.
So they ask a question titled Daddy's Footsteps. What's a good first and last that they can go by?
What are they? Does
It is
clarify?
Okay, it's a boy. It's a young boy. He doesn't say his age, but he does say that him and his dad are fighting.
Wait, is Daddy's Footsteps the title of the question or the name of the person?
That's the title of the question, and then
okay.
you'll give us like a fake name for the person.
Okay.
And anything works. If you want to name him Bill, we can even.
I
go
have
with
to do
Bill.
that now. No, don't name him Bill. Wait, I have to come up with a name right now.
Yeah.
The I don't know.
It's
Ask me later.
Ask me later. Asks.
I don't know enough about this person.
All right, let's learn. We can name him.
To get to know them.
We can name him posthumously. Hey boys, I'm a longtime listener and a first-time baller, as I've run into my first issue in
That's
quite
their name,
some
by the
time.
way. Baller, duh.
Of course.
Perfect.
I like naming someone after the only thing you know about. Red shirt. Let's do it. How do I get my dad to stop trying to force me to be a goddamn firefighter? It's fucking ridiculous. My dad's a firefighter. His dad was a firefighter. And in the next 2 years, I'll be eligible to join the same department.
Well, have you considered forcing him to do something?
Like be
something?
Like be a
That he doesn't want to be?
firefighter.
Be a police officer.
Yeah.
Ooh, change the
For an
floor.
emergency service.
My dad has been obsessing recently over his legacy, continuing with me being the third generation firefighter in our family. However, I'm simply not interested in fire or fire-related activities. I don't turn 18 until next year, so my dad can basically do what he wants. He keeps trying to force me into the fire department Explorer program, tell me what courses I can take, and starting Fire Academy to give me a boost. Every time I tell him it's simply not something I'm interested in, he has a fit and yells at me. Stop saying that stupid shit, he'll tell me. How do I get him to leave me alone and let me pursue my dreams?
I was going to say you could do like a firefighting thing, but like fuck it up real bad.
Just go to camp and like burn the camp down.
Like, yeah, make a mistake.
Like bring more fire into that.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I've got the matches. I'm right here. Is that the worst you can do as a fire? I guess death is.
I don't know
generally
if
as
I want
bad as
to
it
really
can
go too much into that.
For me, if you're looking at career paths, I don't want to be responsible for anybody's life whatsoever. Like that alone is terrifying. I also don't want to do what my dad does. Yeah. So if you thought about doing the regular 16-year-old opposite of whatever your dad does thing, the general rebellious white kid.
Yeah, just gotta go against the grain kind of thing.
Go against the. He's doing something like cool. You could do something like nerdy and fun.
Right. You do make a podcast maybe.
Did you ever play that game when you were younger? There was that rice game. Do you remember the rice game where you'd answer freerice.org? You would answer math and science and civics questions, and they would donate 10 grains of rice for every question that you got right.
I never really understood that concept. Is like,
well, they had rice for kids who are smart enough to
they had rice, but like they would only give it to people if you were a good kid.
Yeah, like, it incentivized good kids and it fed people. I think it's a good social
Why
program.
not just give the rice?
Regardless, someone has to count that rice if you're because they're donating down to the grain.
Yeah, that seems a little excessive.
So they got 2,700 grains of rice is very specific.
I mean, I guess you could do it by weight, but that doesn't seem very accurate.
Right. So I'm saying you can always do the general rebellion as opposed to like what you're doing, where your dad loved cameras.
Yeah. Well,
And now you love cameras.
yeah, backstory. My dad is a photographer, and for my entire life, I said that I did not want to be a photographer at all. And now that I'm older, that's all I do. And I literally use his cameras that he's used for the past, 30 years for no reason at all other than to spend a lot of money, I guess.
When you were a boy, did you have a career aspiration that was specific? Like when you were maybe 16, did you think about something that you wanted to...
I was way over the line into music by then.
Right.
Like for a long time.
See us, we were firefighting at 16. we were busy with that. That's insane that you were in that early. Was that the beginning?
I was going to say, for that person, I would suggest try to stage some kind of a firefighting accident that's just serious enough that it scares the crap out of your dad, but not serious enough that anyone's actually in danger.
That's a good way to do it.
Okay. So
if we're still answering the question.
How do you stage a tenured firefighter's scaring?
Don't know.
I think it has to be something he hasn't seen before. Like you call in a fire and there's actually a lot of water and he's not ready for it.
Gotta add to it.
During a flood. Call good old dad.
I guess firefighters do often work in floods. They got like ladders and stuff.
Yeah, they're pretty versatile. It's a good career, right? it truly is.
It sounds like he's got like so much going on for firefighters. Where we're from, like literally, if you're 16, you can just join, and they don't even really pay you.
Well, there aren't jobs where we're from. Is the main part of it, right? That's certainly an aspect.
Like it seems like there's so much invested, like in becoming a firefighter. It's like a whole. It's like being a STEM major, you know? There's like camps and things you're encouraged to go do.
Being a firefighter is not like being a STEM major.
It's the same thing.
They're both cool. And anyone who is either of them should be proud, but they are not the same thing.
I believe that they're the same.
You need to calm down. You need to cool it. There's one last way to get out of being a firefighter, which is just being kind of bad at it. Why not just take the test and not pass?
That's a good way to do it.
Oh, Dad, I would love to, but oh no, I'm on fire too. Whoa.
No, that's that's the perfect solution, really.
If you can,
now no one has to be in danger.
no one has to be in...
Unless you screw up and accidentally get all the answers right.
Oh, you're so good.
You're actually really bad at it, and you're like, that's the stupidest thing I could do. It happens to be exactly what you need to do.
Well, that's kind of cool. That's like when the sleepwalking guy is walking in a construction site in a movie, and he's just perfectly walking across beams that are perfectly aligning to his feet and his footsteps and everything.
That's a good way to do it. That's how I get through construction yards. Fall asleep.
Can I mention this? There's two things. Before you got here today, Bill, we were excessively nervous. You're an awesome guest to have on our show. You're someone who we respect. Eye contact. you're someone who we really respect. So we didn't want to make ourselves a fool out to you. So we were shaking and freaking out in here. I also did push-ups when you first got here and walked out of the room
seconds
for a minute.
Before you walked back in.
And I heard you come back in, and I didn't want you to see me doing push-ups, but I was like pumping myself up for this.
I think jumping is pretty good.
Ooh.
If you're feeling too crazy before a show.
Gotta get some energy out.
I think just jumping is that's what I think.
For me, I get nervous and I just gotta put myself through a little bit of pain. I've got this new workout thing. I'm doing 300 push-ups, 300 sit-ups, 300 squats a day. Just doing what I can because I've got 3 weeks so that my ex-girlfriend thinks that I look good again. Mm-hmm. It's complicated. You and I could go over that off the show. But I was putting some in because I wanted you to be impressed with us. And we were incredibly worried. We put that glass bird next to your microphone in the hopes that maybe that would, I don't know, is some sort of peace offering.
That's cool. I bet all of this stuff is great. I got more Post-it notes here than I could ever need.
I did notice you took interest in the Post-it notes.
I'm having a ball.
You took a serious interest.
For the folks at home, it's square stacks of Post-it notes. The colors of them are, how many are, there's about 12, 13 of them. They're blue, 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 light blue, light blue, light blue, grayish blue, another light blue, two kind of purple, and two of them are
Like a salmon?
yeah, like light, very light salmon.
Yeah. Like very like muted kind of.
Those,
color.
by the way, are the thickest ones. Clearly, nobody wants that color.
I wonder why. I love salmon.
It does seem like the light blue are the most commonly used as well.
Oh yeah. Right behind the dark blue's kind of used too a good bit. Oh, never mind. That one's a very small light blue.
I feel like I would use the salmon over any of them because if you're using Post-it notes, I want the lightest material in most situations.
Yeah, I think this.
Highest
I
contrast.
think it's great.
I think
I don't know. Maybe it just looks more attractive because it's just brand new and perfectly like.
Square
Yeah.
still. It's not.
is
wrinkled.
there a chance that those are freshly replenished?
It could be.
Right, salmon is actually the most frequently used, and these weren't. all
I
purchased
doubt it
together.
because how do you explain all of these blue like thin ones?
Maybe the original salmon and all the blue and the purples were bought at the same time. The salmon were used up and they replenished the
I
salmon.
think what we're seeing here is nobody really ever uses them all the way to the end. I don't know. I think all the thin blue ones is a clear indication that, like, if this is something that happens to use Post-it notes, then why isn't it happening to the salmon-colored Post-it notes?
That's true. There would be more. You know, like more smaller stacks, I guess.
So I'm going to do something, and Riley, I want you to make sure you hold down this microphone over here.
Oh
I'm
my
going to
gosh.
show you guys Post-it note usage on. So we got a recording space where we are, and inside of the room when we got into it, there was a Post-it board filled with Post-it notes. What would you guys theorize is the most commonly used Post-it notes out of the color that we have? Because I'm about to do the deal or no deal reveal. It's about to happen.
Okay.
So those
We've
boards
So
right
you
over
have the
there.
answer.
Those boards
You
right
should,
over there.
you should probably get a shot of this at some point just to include, just so we can
just to
really see,
prove it.
because, you know,
I'll
pictures
post it
worth
on
a
the
thousand
website.
words.
Right. What do you guys think it's the light blue that is the most commonly used?
Oh,
Is that what we're
absolutely.
going with?
Light blue.
All right. One moment for the reveal. Riley, if you can narrate this.
This will be good. He's walking over to the pad, turning it around. There are so many maroon.
Huh.
Look at that.
Well, salmon is clearly the least. There's 4. I wouldn't call that salmon, by the way, but I don't have another name for it.
Like a sorbet.
But yeah, there's only 4 of those used, and the rest of them are used more.
There's a lot of maroon, I'll say. I was not expecting that one.
The
Look at that.
twist of the goddamn century. I didn't watch the Super Bowl this year. I have to imagine it played out exactly like that.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like anyway.
I love little things like that. I love looking at, like, monitoring behavior and then making assumptions to analyze what behavior took place. It's like playing detective. There was that Murdered Soul Suspect video game that came out a couple years ago. And your goal was, like, you got killed at the beginning of the game and you were a ghost. And you had to,
solve
like,
your own murder, don't you?
yeah, you got to solve your own murder by going to talk to other ghosts who might have, like, seen what happened.
There's a lot of ghosts around.
There are tons
Ghost
of
witness.
tons of ghosts around, and they've all got these, like, great shoulders. They've got, like, 13-year-old girl shoulders.
It's terrifying.
I didn't mean to call 13-year-old girl shoulders great, to be
But for a ghost.
I mean, just bones on a ghost
Yeah.
alone are important. Bill, we have you here. One of the biggest thoughts, the second, so kind of how we do things to explain, like, our booking process to you. We've got a group of 5 guys, and we have all these other different podcasts, and we really, like, most shows will just have, like, anybody on. If they've got a decent following, they'll have people on. But we like to have people on that are just, like, we're fans of them.
Yeah, like content that we like.
Yeah, we really like them, so we think hopefully they'll like us. Riley here came to me and asked me to email you,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how that works. So I emailed you, and his face lit up when you replied. We're so enchanted by how uniquely artistic you come off to talk about you a tad. When you are starting a video, from idea to the actual process of filming to the editing process that seems so laborious, what does that process look like?
Well, luckily, it's an actual process, which just kind of formed itself. And what I always tell people, I'll tell you the way it got formed, quite simply, is start by doing versions of the thing you're doing that are way, way, way shorter, way, way, way shorter, and I mean really short. And if it doesn't work, and if you still don't know what to do, just try it shorter.
I was reading the questions on your website, and I
I've
saw
said
someone
that-
ask that question
I've
like
said that
3 times.
Yeah, I've said that a million times. It's so true. It's ridiculously true. And I've done that at every step. I mean, just in terms of writing songs. In terms of recording songs, I did a thing where, I'm sure you've heard this story before, but, you know, like, one time I was just so desperate to just get going, that I literally said to myself, do a 1 second. I'm going to do a 1 second song, and then I'm going to do a 2 second song, and then I'm going to do a 3 second song, etc. And the first one was Die. just the word,
It's a good way to start.
Song on a C, Die. I'm sure you've heard it before. But
Classic.
like, it simplifies everything. So you get to go through every step of the process immediately, even if you know almost nothing. So it's like you got the word, you got the note you're going to sing. Okay, you got, kick drum, the chord, a cymbal, the bass note. That's every single thing in the band that you need to put together that structure just for that one moment. You get to go through every step of the process, and you're right there. So it's instant learning, so you don't get held up by anything.
I feel like it's really good for like gratification too. Every time I like start something new and I like have to really work to get a product that you can actually like understand.
Yeah, get a taste of that exported MP3 file.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you came up with this philosophy, probably non-consciously, it probably was submitted into you. Do you think it was a result of you taking on too many big projects, or was it just like you just wanting to start?
It's just overwhelming. Like especially if you think you're the person that has to do everything yourself. It's pretty insane to do like. And if you're really perfectionist, I don't know, if you just really think you want to be really good, it's just, I mean, I've heard from I hear all the time from people asking this question on the question space. It's just they're saying they're too overwhelmed. They don't know where to start, what to do, So yeah, and I've used that strategy again and again and again and again. And
now that you have built out your ability to create longer form content, you said it's pretty systematic in the way that you create.
It is. And it's like, it just kind of happened magically. And I kind of got stuck in the short stuff for much longer than I wanted. And I could tell you the long story or the short story. I will probably get coaxed into telling the long story just because I'm a huge rambler. But basically, I established a 5-day mandatory schedule, Monday through Friday, have to do a thing. Discovered almost instantly that they have to be short or I'll never, you can't. On Tuesday of the first week, I failed nearly, and I was like 24 hours late, but it didn't matter because I didn't have an audience, so I just backdated it and faked it. But after that, that was I'm Sad, by the way, which the song already existed. It was already recorded. It was just a music video, live action, but I took way too many shots. I binged on getting 27 takes of everything, and I tried to stack it all up in Final Cut, and then the freaking computer wouldn't run. Novice, rookie mistakes. The thing was only 30 seconds long, but it took like 48 hours to do. I think on 6 a.m. on Wednesday, I finished it, and it was supposed to be for Tuesday. So I just cheated, backdated it. I had no audience. My little secret. No one knew I was late.
It's out on the air now.
But after that, I just was like, okay, if you want to do something long, you got to be doing a really dumb thing like the iPhone charger thing, or like you got to watch it. So for a year, I did that, and then I took a break because I really wanted to get to the longer stuff. And I had a scheme going to get to the longer stuff. But then at that moment, suddenly fate decided to make me blow up on Vine, which happens to have a 6-second time limit in the video. So suddenly I had like the good big audience.
You already had the catalog too,
but I'm
just perfect.
Right, I know, because I was just firing them up there, because I was just, all I had to do was make a little edit. Some of it was fun because I had to take a 15-second one or 20-second one and get it down to 6. That was kind of fun. But most of the time it was just ready material. You just got to make it into a square and maybe chop off a second or two. So I was like, okay, I daily, because I didn't have to make new stuff. So I had about 6 months worth of free posts. Like all I had to do was do that little edit. So I started doing. Yeah, I'm way overtelling this story right now, but I was
it's really interesting.
Started doing 7 days a week for Vine. Well, at this point, I was only doing 2 days a week for the new ones, short ones, and I was also trying to do 3-minute songs, not on schedule, just in any time I could get. And I only got to do 2 of them, and they took a month or 2 each, with the music video too. But what am I trying to say? So yeah, so like two new ones a week, but 7 posted. So eventually, like, I ran out. So I had to make a decision, like, what do I do? Do I like decrease the number of, uploads for this like booming Vine audience, or do I just forget about long videos ever and just start doing even more than I was before? 7 a week.
It's crazy.
So I decided to do 7 a week, and it was like super crazy. And then after about 2 or 3 months, then I was like, all right, look, it's time to do something I always wanted to do, which was try to, I had a whole big list of major things that I wanted to do for a long time, but one of them was try to tell nonfiction material using whatever skills I have in any way that I want to do. Nonfiction, research something
Yeah.
and just go bananas, bonkers with it. So, but I'm stuck on the Vine thing. But yeah, I flipped it. That's a whole other story. But the point is, when I got to do that for the first time, the first one of those that I really did and finished was 9 minutes long, which is way longer than anything else I'd done. But for some reason, because I'd spent all that extra time doing the ones for Vine, and I got into jinglifying all of them and like having all of this sung stuff with all these harmonies and stuff. So it really sharpened my skills. So I don't know, for some reason when I went to do like the history thing, the procedure was like already there. I already knew what to do.
Just pre-set up.
It was. I don't really know how that came together, but I know it was just from doing the short stuff for so long.
Yeah.
That really proves that it really is experience that you need to be able to create what you want to create.
Yeah.
And
More than anything.
yeah, you
And
can't actively.
One of the things I also know, this is from songwriting too, just for me, I think this is actually true in the movie world too, but I mean, you got to write the thing before you produce it. If you're doing something that cannot be performed or produced live. If you're doing an improv show with multiple actors, that's fine. You can improv that. But you cannot improvise one person producing, everything.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you get the writing done. So that's the thing. You don't have to write every little note, but I mean, for me, I have to write every note that's sung, every, lyric, melody, chords, know the exact tempo, know the exact roadmap. That's a super important one. But yeah, I could go into more detail.
Is the perfectionism exclusively in your professional life, or are you like a super clean person as well? Or?
No. I don't like to even say perfectionism because for me it just feels like being reasonable.
Just making it the way that you need to make it.
Yeah. So it doesn't really, and because like I'm aware of like, there's like it's like a death sentence really if you want to really care too much about. Because there's no limit to how good something can be. Actually, if you pay too close attention to making something good, you're going to ruin the thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that too. So I don't like to think of myself as a perfectionist at all because there's really important life measures that you need to take to counteract, wanting to try to make something infinitely good. So I had to learn those lessons like really early on.
Oh, yeah. It's a hard lesson to learn, too, like getting away from perfectionism.
Right.
I'm the worst.
Early on, you mentioned, and I think it's super interesting because it's something that we're experiencing lightly now. Of course, you're so much bigger than us in terms of internet volume. You're a regular-sized human outside of that. But early on, I felt like we had a lot more room to make a mistake in terms of something we can let slip. Like how vulgar we were willing to be with what we do or just XYZ, where the larger we grow, it does become a conversation of, all right, we do need to be true to ourselves, but at some point, we don't want to say something that'll ruin our career. When you said that it was nice that you could backdate that video and no one noticed, do you ever miss the lack of pressure from those days where you could just do something and no one noticed, and there's no care?
Yeah, but I slip in and out of having schedules. And right now I'm struggling in terms of a schedule for various reasons. I mean, we'll get into that. But,
Schedules are tough to maintain, regardless.
I think it's easier actually to maintain them when you're on them. And when you're not on them, you can't.
Like breaking into the schedule is the worst part.
Right. Once you succeed like 3 times in a row, then it's like it's out of my hands.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't matter if
It
there's
just
only a
becomes a
shred of a chance I could get this done, even if I stay up for the next 48 hours. If it's right up against the deadline, you'll do it.
Yeah.
But if there's not like the validity of like you're already established on the schedule, then you'll just say, well, no, it's not worth breaking myself.
Yeah.
Right. So it's obviously important to get things done and to work hard in life, but sometimes it's important to sit back too, and that's why we want to tell you this episode is brought to you by our good friends over at GameFly. GameFly has over 8,000 available titles for purchase on PS4, Xbox One, and all other available systems. There are 2 things that happen when you buy a video game. 1 or 2, right? You could buy a video game and you like it, so you want to keep it and continue to play, or you don't like it and you don't really want to play it anymore. GameFly is the best option for both of those permutations. If you like the game, you could buy it and keep it for a low use price. And if you don't like the game, you could ship it off and get a new one mailed right to you. Listeners to our show get a free unrestricted 30-day trial if you want to take some games home, try them out, do whatever you want. GameFlyOffer.com/smart. That's GameFlyOffer.com/smart. And we want to thank GameFly for their continued support of the show.
Yeah. Day 15 user.
Day 15. If 4 years or 30 days, unless it was a February.
Yeah, that would be bad.
But then out of 4 years, that's a leap year. So that February could be a 28 or a 29.
It still doesn't help anything.
Are you gonna answer that question that I asked you earlier?
What's that?
Would you rather be a triangle? You can answer this too, Bill. Would you rather be a triangle the size of a house or a rectangle the size of a mouse?
I said rectangle the size of a mouse because I don't like triangles too much.
Better give me a third dimension, man, or else I don't even think I'm.
You're not in?
Not even there. So,
I guess a cube or a pyramid could be about equal.
Yeah.
It's like a rectangular cube, though. That's important.
But, the structure of the house changes at that point. Because if it's a square, I can imagine a square on a house. A pyramid means it needs to have an attic with maybe a crawl space down below to make all the square footage fit. I just want to make sure we're speaking accurately on sizes. We have more questions to answer. Bill, I'm going to have Riley help you out here with the name. We have Jealous Friend is the title of this question. If you or Riley can come up with a name for this jealous friend who's written into the show.
What is the jealous friend? Or what is the asker?
They're a 19-year-old girl who just finished up their first year at Michigan State.
Michigan State? Oh, that helps it.
Yeah, Michigan State.
What's Michigan known for?
Michigan is known fuck, marry, kill. Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron.
We've been over this. This is a common question. Definitely marrying Lake Superior, killing Lake Huron, and I guess I get to fuck Lake Michigan.
Well, you got to kill the guy named Huron.
Yeah.
He's the least fuckable of all of them. I think Michigan is known for...
well, Detroit, for one thing.
Right,
That's
Detroit's
not the only
name.
thing. That's one of the things. That's not,
Detroit is a part...
That's not the whole picture.
What do you think of the automotive industry when you think of Detroit, or do you think of the housing crisis when you think of Detroit?
Well, no, I think of the automotive industry.
Okay, there's the automotive industry.
Let's say
There's Big Ten football. I mean,
yeah,
football is pretty big there.
GMC.
That's the name.
Then there's upstate Michigan, which is another thing.
It's in the world actually.
Is Lansing upstate Michigan? We'll come back to that. We're going to pray that that's written on this board over here. All right. GMC asks, hey guys, I'm a 19-year-old girl who just finished up my first year at Michigan State. Anyways, I had to make a tough decision and I need your help to deal with the consequences. How do I tell my jealous, fear of missing out affected friend that I'm moving in with one of our mutual friends? She has expressed jealousy in regards to this friend before. I know she won't be happy for me moving, and I am worried she will be upset and mean to me because of that jealousy. How do I break it to her? So this girl was going to move in with one of two friends, went ahead and made the decision to move in with one of them, acted on it, and now needs to break the news to friend A, who she left hanging.
You're telling her the weakest link.
Just cold hard, go for the kill. See, I'm the exact opposite. I say avoid the conversation. Maybe even avoid the person.
You can just oh, dude, I forgot we were going to live together.
Right?
That sucks. You're just telling me now?
Yeah, act like it's been an old plan that you were doing this and that they never interrupted you.
Yeah, maybe there's a way to bring it up where it seems just like you call them and you thought you already told them.
Yeah, be like,
hey, I had some problems with my roommate. Do you mind hearing me out? I don't know. She's just shaving everywhere over this.
Shaving everywhere in the sink in the kitchen.
She'll shave wherever she wants to.
But the thing is, we're giving advice to this person, but what about the other lonely person?
I guess they listen to another podcast.
They need some advice too. It's too bad we're not talking to them.
I know.
We can have her send the episode, right?
We can have her
send it over, GMC.
Oh, is that the way she wants to tell her?
Oh, that'd be brutal. We can break the news.
Can we break the news?
All right, give her the headset. We haven't done this one in a while.
You keep one earbud in, you keep the left, you keep the right.
Yep.
Hey, GMC's friend, we got some news to break for you, sweetheart. It's not good.
Two aren't living together anymore.
Take both headphones, all right? I don't want GMC to listen. Are you listening to me? You're moving in with your best friend, baby. It's happening. You guys are moving in together this week. Pack your bags and run into church because it's time to pray to God and say thanks. You and your best friend love each other and everything is perfectly fine. Give the headphones back to GMC. Are they back in? Your friend's gone, right? We fucked it up, dude. We fucked up telling her so bad.
We caved.
You got to move in with both friends. You need to pay 2 apartment bills.
Get a third bedroom.
Why wasn't that an option? That seems like such a reasonable option.
3-bedroom apartments are great. It's 4 is a lot to live in, share a fridge with, from experience.
Right. You share a fridge with 3 others.
Yeah, it's a busy fridge. There's a lot going on. It's hard if you imagine buying broccoli, right?
Why would you buy broccoli?
Well, because it's because it tastes good, but it's so large. Like there's so much stem associated with broccoli, you know.
Is it a big deal if we ask about your diet? What's your thought on broccoli?
Well, it's
or vegetables in general?
I think with broccoli, I feel like you're better off eating the not the stem part.
Yeah. You ever have broccolini? I had to show him what broccolini was. It's beautiful.
Can you believe I drove here? Okay, and the whole ride you made me do that.
Yeah, I it's a great vegetable. It's a lot smaller. It's good if you want to like maybe saute it.
You know what I had?
Garlic.
There was this guest at the hotel that I work at that gave me a strawberry that was dried. Because your dad made me try my first strawberry.
That's a true fact.
He force fed me.
Yep.
But they gave me a dried strawberry, and I liked that.
I don't know about dried strawberries. I like dried bananas.
Nah.
Those are good.
Nah, stop it. You're embarrassing me in front of Bill.
Dried bananas are delicious.
I'm genuinely embarrassed right now.
Not like dried beef.
Is it something that needs an explanation necessarily? Like, do you have an obligation to your friend if you're going to move in with him? Not really, right?
No.
Unless you said, like, we're moving in together.
No. I don't know.
Like, unless you've already made a commitment, then, like, you don't have a duty to anything.
Actually, I don't know. Living with friends is something that is probably not the best thing for me. I don't know. I feel like I've seen friends move in together and they're not friends anymore after that.
I've seen it either go to like polar opposites, right? Like they either do great. I live with 3 friends I went to high school with. You know, we go to WVU and we all live in the same apartment, and everybody told us it was going to go terribly. We've gotten in 2 arguments now, and one of them is over the show. And if any of them are listening, we're probably going to get in a 3rd because of this. But we got in one argument over chicken nuggets, and then we got in another argument about Pringles.
Yeah, but you guys are just like you guys are made for each other, and I say that in the meanest way I can possibly mean that.
Yeah, we're pretty much the same person divided across 4 bodies.
I always say that I think I would have trouble living with a friend in most situations. I live alone currently, and I don't know. Like, you and I talk about living together.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about living together all morning. It's just,
but
I value that space so much that I kind of have to.
We also want to work together a lot. Like if we did end up living together, I don't think we would ever stop working.
Yeah.
Because the other one would just like motivate.
Were you guys friends before working?
You want to listen to how we met, because it's so great. It's so many years ago now. We had a class together back when we were in high school.
Driver's ed.
And I knew him as a friend of a friend.
Was it driver's ed?
Yep. It was driver's ed.
Cool.
We learned. It was pretty cool. I knew him as a friend of a friend, and I knew he was into filming and radio and different stuff. So I asked him and another friend to meet me at a Chick-fil-A so we can start a company together. And we're 7 years in. And that's we have another friend that started the same way.
It's funny. That's what I was going to say, because that relates to the thing that I said about moving in with your friend. There's another thing, sort of a famous quote, which is like, it's much better to have a business that turns into a friendship based on the business. That will work very well. But if it's flipped, and if like starting a business based on a friendship can kind of be like
a little messy.
Not so good.
That's a great way to think about it.
There is a famous person said that, and it's probably won't say who it is because they're like an oil tycoon.
We don't have to give
good advice,
but a business founded on a friendship founded on business is a great deal better than the
a
reverse.
Business founded on
the
friendship.
reverse of that. Yeah.
That's so cool, because we always say there's the other quote out there that says there are 2 things you don't do. You don't live with your friends, and you don't start a business with them. And we are thinking about maybe both. So that's obviously problematic. But it's been a great experience so far.
Well, yeah, well, you guys are good, because you said like the first time you met, it was just to get them do the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a click. And I mean, we recorded so many episodes of the show before we ever went and published one.
Yeah, we're confident enough to let anyone hear them.
Yeah, but
something like 15.
Yeah, that was ours. We just recorded that's 4 months of the show basically that we recorded, and then we eventually started publishing.
We didn't even release them, did we? Like, most of them were bad. They were pretty rough.
We did a best of episode of like the lost episodes so long ago, but it's basically gone now. When there's some crazy shit happening.
I think they're taking apart this building.
They are. There's a lot of drywall everywhere.
Piece by piece, please donate to Bill's Patreon to save our building right now. We need that so badly. How long into creating did it take for you to start living off of it? Because that's a pretty big deal to be able to do that and free up time.
Yeah.
That's our thing.
It was
we're
a
halfway
while,
through
and
now.
I could have. It's one of those things where I could have made the jump earlier. I just wanted to be sure. You know, it's super important to not need. It all depends what you want to do. But like, if you want to do stuff your own way and get really crazy about it, you might not want to be in a situation where you have to make quick decisions to follow the money. But then again, maybe that would be good, actually. The point is, get a job that has nothing to do with it. Get a super chill job that has nothing to do with
where you have tons of like creative energy. You're not expelling that. Like the job I have, I work at a night job at a hotel, so I have zero responsibilities. I get to sit and write and think and drink hotel milk until I'm pleased.
Einstein had a gig, one of those gigs, patent clerk.
Right.
Just sitting in an office.
Yeah. And it was a good excuse to practice a lot of algebra because there like a lot of like stuff good place to sit and think, super chill. Yeah.
Sounds like a good gig. Sounds like something for him. I could never do it. I'm stupid though. I don't know anything.
You're talking about algebra in general.
Yeah.
We'll practice slope in the car and everything. Like y equals mxb
plus b.
Y equals mx plus
there
b.
we go. I did know something.
Together though, because I gave you most of that.
That's true. You gave me the letters.
Yesterday, what were we trying to add that we couldn't do?
Oh,
we were trying to do
we were doing
105
something so
divided by
bad.
3, and it took us 9 minutes
It took-
without a
That's
calculator.
got
way
7
too
in it.
long.
That's got 7 in it, so it's going to be 35.
That was way faster than we could have done it.
That was
It's
so-
almost shameful how long we spent trying to figure it out.
This was the Bill. In my mind, the worst thing we could have done is look stupid in front of Bill.
No,
and
you're
it's
not
now-
stupid.
It's
I'm
now
just-
happened.
No, I have a weird thing. I have a thing with like, I have a thing where it's useful if you're ever waiting in a really long line. But like, prime factorization, like you take a number.
I've
and
heard of prime factorization.
Do you know what it is? I figure you probably do, right? It's just when you take a big number and you just figure out what bunch of numbers times each other.
So that's those little trees that branch down, like you.
Yeah. It's like take a big number, give it to me using only like small prime numbers, like 7 times 11 times 13 times equals that big number.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
prime. So like, but figuring it out in your head, like if you're like in a long, have to
Like waiting for
some,
like a line or something like that.
and like your phone doesn't work for some reason.
Sit there and figure it out.
Yeah.
Try
See,
to make it a little better.
That's great.
I've got some crazy tricks. I've been compiling. I've been like doing it for a long time. Like I've got, I just learned some new tricks recently.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Is it something that you think you can? Because I think when our listeners hear I have some crazy tricks, the first thing they think is I'm listening. Like, is there one that pops to your mind?
The thing is, I actually got so into it recently. I had to quit like cold turkey. I had to like not do it anymore. Because there was one time when I was in bed waking up in the morning and I successfully conquered the phone, the casual smartphone use, by learning how to turn it off before I even opened my eyes. So that's one thing.
But
great. Then I realized I also had to quit number factoring because that'll fill the void too. Because this one time I was before bed the previous night, I was working on like a 6-digit number or something, and it was not working out too well. It was still 6 digits, and I hadn't gotten anything out of it, and I'm checking 100, and I'm into the hundreds, checking like 2, checking 191, checking 193, and I'm getting nothing, and it's still 6 digits, and it's like, and then I fall asleep, and then I wake up, and I still remembered where I left off. So I kept working on this goddamn thing for 6 hours. And I was like, I need to change my life. By the way, I finished it. The goddamn thing was prime. There's nothing in it. So I checked everything up until like 700 and something, like the square root of whatever the heck that number was. Checked every prime number up until then and got nothing.
You had to quit cold turkey, ruining your life.
Yeah, that was when I knew it was time to stop.
I'm jealous of it.
I'm jealous because he had a thing with math. I had a thing with my 3rd grade math teacher. It's way different.
Just wake up in the middle of the night thinking.
Well, I thought about her a lot because that was the year. Do you remember my 5th grade girlfriend that I always tell you about?
Yeah,
That's the year I developed my crush on her.
Okay.
Yeah. To catch you up, Bill, I know we sent you some episodes to listen to, but I doubt that you really delved into the lore. In 5th grade, my heart was broken by this wonderful redheaded beauty. This fucking fox.
Isn't she like engaged now?
Yeah, but she's still in 5th grade, so it's fair game. But I was class president.
Takes more than hair to break your heart. I would think. I'd hope.
Dude, she was so pretty. Her eyes.
But
and freckles.
Yeah, but sometimes you can get tricked though.
Hear me out. I did. I was
Meaning like, so let me clarify. Meaning like you can think you're really falling like crazy in love with someone, and it can feel really, but if you think about it and look back, realize you didn't really know them like well enough.
Yeah, like look back without the rose-colored glasses of everything.
Yeah.
right.
Anyway, maybe you did know. Maybe, who knows? Maybe it was meant to be.
Dude, maybe I've just had maybe it was my nose covered glasses and my nose was too big to see the situation. But I thought I was in love, dude. Listen, I was class president, right? Class president of my 5th grade class. I had people on my left. I had people on my right. I was the king of the moment.
He peaked in 5th grade.
The second I won the election, she asked me out, and I should have known in that moment that if power was what attracted her, this wasn't going to last. But I'm kind of happy that I stayed plugged in because I needed that extra charge. I planned this Halloween party. It was mid-October. I'd been class president for like a month and a half.
This is a voiceover for a movie, man. This is like
He had a little pause for like a scene to play out,
Yeah.
and he kept going.
like you have this on paper, I bet, right?
I've just told the story enough. And we're walking again. Again, I have people on my left, people on my right, and I planned this party. It was at another girl's house, but for some reason I got to plan it. I don't really know how my power extended into
The logistics of everything.
the
is a
municipality
nightmare.
that we lived in. But then I see her. My eyes catch a glimpse as I'm walking past the kitchen into the living room, sitting on my adversary's lap. The boy I beat, sitting on his lap. Dude, it was such like a move. She looked at me, smiled, and then went back to our conversation.
That's rough.
I was broken. I like yelled and I went outside and I didn't come back in. It was the Halloween party I planned that I never got to experience. So this Halloween is what I'm saying. Me, Bill, Riley, and all the 5th graders we can find are going to party up.
So Morgan can relive his dream. Does that mean I get to be her, though?
Yeah.
'Cause that's normally my role, whatever we like, get a role play questions out for people.
That was your role last night when we
Yeah.
stayed in the same bed together.
Almost always is.
We've got a little bit more to go on, but I do want to bring up GameFly just one more time, real quick. GameFly has been such a huge supporter of the show over these last, 2 months. Every one of our LA episodes, the LA Morgan episode, the Colin and Samir episode, all sponsored by GameFly. They've been so helpful. If you listen to the show and you like us and you like that we can travel and meet these cool people, support GameFly because they do a great job of supporting us firsthand. That's gameflyoffer.com/smart. It's time for you to be as smart as our URL.
There's a child outside, and they're happy about something.
They are extremely tall. We're on the 2nd floor, and I can see the top of their head grazing the window. When I have one more question for us to answer from a listener, but before we do that, I wanted to kind of bring up your website. Riley texted me, and he's like, "Hey, can you get Bill Wurtz on the show? I'd love to have him on. That would be really cool if I can meet him." And I'm like, "See, I'll do what I could do. I love you, man." And I log on to billwurtz.com. That is the most incredible website design I have ever seen.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Literally, I thought your email, so if you go to the contact portion of your website, if you copy your email takes up the whole computer screen. And I highlighted and had to scroll because it only fits 4 letters. The text is so big. Did you put a lot of thought into?
Yeah, you got to have some fun with a super boring page.
That's true.
You know,
What else did you
got to
put
put
on
some life in. I mean, it's not a link either. That's the other fun part.
Like you can't just click on it
And
and opt out.
I think when you discover what it is, I think it's
It's a reveal.
you probably saw that coming, right? I mean, because of what the email address is.
I should have known, knowing your videos, that's what to expect. But
Yeah.
it's so cool. You don't even think of doing that. Like, we have a boring website that just has our faces and links to the show.
Just our smiling, happy faces in front of brick walls.
It is.
Well, I wish
I
wish sites were actually more boring because maybe my computer just sucks. But for me, most websites that I go to have this crazy thing happen where the blank buttons load before the words on the buttons loads. Stuff jumps around. The ads load first. The Facebook, Pinterest links and stuff loads first and then jumps around and then it freezes and then the whole thing crashes.
It's all the widgets.
And
There's
then
too
it
many things
pop up sign up thing to sign up for this site that I
20% off.
haven't even got into yet.
Subscription to New York Times.
And it's everyone does it like that. And it's how does that work at all? And then I'll stumble upon some site that was done before the internet was like that. And it's boom. information.
It's just HTML
Click
code.
a thing, kabam. You could even put some colored backgrounds in. Doesn't no big deal.
crazy.
Just bam, and it's like it's just. Why doesn't everybody do that? It's just so ridiculous. Those sites are so much faster.
It is incredibly efficient. You
And
know,
they
like we
give
don't
you
have
the
great
information.
studio or great internet in our studio, so it's like so nice when sites load like that. But usually they'll load like a Mashable page where it's a listicle that you have to click 10 times to see every 1 through 10 Marvel character.
I have a trick. I mean that I do like if you're googling stuff because my computer's old enough that it doesn't like really work right. So most sites kind of don't even work at all. But the trick is go to cached. There's a little arrow thing.
Yeah.
And click cached. So because Google will have a saved version of like the page, so you can just go in there. It's totally chill. And then once you get there, click text only. Boom. So you can actually get the thing. Imagine you can actually get to the,
To what you're there for.
yeah.
To which Disney
And you'll have
princess
to do
you are.
you have to do a Command F on it because it's still buried, beneath other check. But that's instant, so you can get to it.
Yeah.
That's a cool little trick.
Do you ever inspect the code and like change little things around, like convince somebody that something is true that's definitely not? Because I do that all the time.
Right, you had very bad grades in school. I remember your whiteout report card trick.
I actually did try that one time as like a little kid, and I got found out like the first second any person looked at it. It was the worst.
Well, do you know my story with that?
I don't.
I wanted to know if I could do it, but I thought there was a 50% chance of me getting caught. So what I did, I changed a good grade to a worse grade. So if they caught me, the stakes were like, why did you do that? And they caught me.
Such a backwards way to do it. So it was more of a litmus test.
Right. It was just like, will they see this and will they know? So I changed a B to a C. Not a good grade, but you saw earlier I'm less than smart. I turned a B to a C, and it was just so obvious. My mom was like, is this whiteout? Did you get an F? She scratched it off.
Down a B.
Why did you do that? You said you work alone and you like to have your hand in every part of the process. When you've been like creating in the past, what are moments where
My hand, I do everything. I do all of everything.
have you ever felt like you've wanted someone else in on the process to help with certain parts of
Like editing, maybe?
Yeah.
editing or like like if you had like a publicist or
Yeah,
something? Have you-
I do, and I don't know how that would work. You know?
It's difficult to work other people into your workflow. That's something that we've dealt with a
it's
lot.
like who would they be? Why would they be doing that for me? And what exactly would they be doing? And how much of it would they do? And there's just like, it's probably time to really start thinking about that. It's reasonable. People run companies, and they have people who run the other people who run which other people will run other people to do it.
Delegated
it's like
delegation.
it's like a whole pyramid thing, but like, and that's legit. And it's people that are,
vetted and trusted and
that'll
I guess
be,
it's probably difficult to let loose and control when you are so impassioned. I mean, if it's a company where you guys sell pharmaceuticals, it's easy to appoint someone to a position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just way behind on learning the whatever I need to learn to put that together, But that'll be, there's always things that I learn. There's always upgrades, new things that I do.
I think that's the biggest thing is like you can never get comfortable with yourself. Like you gotta keep going, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a new thing. I mean, for example, I made 6-second videos for a long time, and suddenly I went to way longer. There's a thing I'm doing now which actually represents the granddaddy of all like next level things.
Really?
Yeah.
That's quite the tease.
And it's like, if you can imagine like this,
okay.
right? But see, we're talking like,
Is-
what if you wanted to do this?
So you're going into a new dimension, is what you're saying.
That's a good way to think about it.
That's wild. And for people listening at home, he started playing with the notepads again. He had the
It's a good
Post-its
visual.
once.
I'll give you another hint. In movies, for some reason, ever since I was a kid in movies, for some reason, it always, like, whenever they have like a shot that involves a crane or something that involves something, a camera moving like swiftly through 3D space or around an object, or just really just showing off the three-dimensionality of a space and a room, I just freaking wet myself. Like whenever I see stuff like that.
So
Doesn't
you
even
like- Are you like a Wes Anderson fan where he'll like play into the dimension of his frame or anything?
I can't remember which one Wes Anderson is, but
He did Isle of Dogs recently.
but it just, like, if you have a thing set up with some intricate, three-dimensionality, and just the camera just
Gets to move around.
That's
and shit, the whole
super
thing.
unique. It happens a lot in
I mean-
sci-fi. Like,
Yeah. I mean, history of the world, I got to start doing that big time.
Especially with the globe shots.
The globe
it was nice.
Yeah, that was a
Very
big
useful.
deal. I mean, that took all summer,
probably-
right? By the way, just to write.
Yeah,
The
I
writing
imagine it
took 3
forever.
months, but during that time, I started to realize, I really got to get a globe because you're going to zip around from all different places, and if you're going to weird, the only way to do it gracefully is like and correctly is to get a 3D globe. So I got that idea in my head, and I got hooked on that idea, but I really wasn't sure if I could make it work. And then I spent almost a month just going through different programs, just trying to get my way around. And it was but then once I saw the first test shot, which was not even in the program that I ended up using, but once I saw the first test shot of a globe doing a thing, and I think India just highlighting itself just as a test, I was hooked. And I actually I came close to bailing on the 3D. I actually thought I was going to have to just do it 2D and stuff.
Wow.
But I made it happen.
What did you end up using?
I will give you a hint.
I love that you speak in riddles exclusively.
Well, I'm glad it's not a full-blown, because the thing is, I'm glad it's not like the biggest, heaviest full-blown program, because that'll ruin you. If you start on a program that's too big, it'll really crush you. Yeah. So I'm really glad it's like it's a good compromise. It's got just enough. But I'll give you a hint. I'm really sick of this default linear F-curve thing. It's killing me. That's what's going to probably make me switch. Just that alone. Every time you put in a keyframe, it defaults to a smooth, which you might think is good, but it's a wacky smooth. If you go from here to there, stay, and then want to move again, when you hit that one, the second to last one will become the whole flat period in the middle will become
arc a little.
Curved. So it's like, this thing is not supposed to be moving. So it's like, and you can change them. Sure, you can change them. You have to highlight them, go to this menu, that menu, which I even have got around that. I use a poor man's keyboard shortcut using the help menu.
Right.
If you go command ? And then type first 2 letters of the first word, space, first 2. So I've got, I even have that, but it's still insane.
I'd like to apologize for the, what is that?
It's just a carnival going on outside now.
No, it's just a car.
This bubble event is.
Yeah, but they default to smooth. So like you can change them. So I have to enter some keyframes, then select all, command ? TA space LI, enter, and then they all change to linear. But then when I enter another keyframe, that one goes back to the awkward thing. So it's just like, and I did that for the entire history of the world. But it was okay because I was only animating like 2 things, like the camera and the globe. But now I'm animating a little more.
Oh my
Get a little bit more time in it.
That's unbelievably exciting,
Yeah.
I'll say. I'm not going to pressure
Yeah,
you to
I'm
put
pumped
out
to see it.
details you don't want to put
It's
out.
actually even more exciting than I thought. It's really weird. Like I'm getting all these flashbacks of when I was younger. Just like looking at buildings and just wishing I could just get a better view of the building just by pivoting slowly around the building. It brings back all these. Yeah, it's kind of.
And was that like
freaky.
a gradual learning of the program that made you realize you could do that, or was there just like a switch that's like, holy fuck, I
think it was just
do
like
this.
I did the 2-week schedule thing earlier or late last year, like where I just mandatorily said the music video's got to be out this quick, which was way too quick, but still not quick enough on the other hand. But I just got restless and I was like, I have this 3D thing sitting around since it's the world, which I've delved into for maybe 1 shot per video. You'll notice there's like one 3D thing that's like a bullshit 3D thing. It'll be like some stupid shape. Yeah. But I was just like, it's time to just start the video there. And I haven't left. I've done the whole thing, and it's like the learning is happening at ridiculous rates, and I'm going into places that I thought would be way over my head, and I'm going there. So it's a lot of time in tutorials, a lot of crazy excitement, a lot of really crazy results so far. But here's the bad news about the whole thing. I mean, we're talking like half a bar a day. I mean, like we're talking about 1 bar a day.
Oof.
For the folks at home, that's 4 beats, which about this tempo is that much.
Yeah.
Even if I'm like working my ass up and trying to super simplify everything, probably too much. And when we say a day, we're talking work for 15
Weeks,
hours straight, and then but then chill for quite a long time, and then sleep for quite a long time.
and come back to
I have a stretched idea of circadian rhythm, but
I like the refractory period. I think that's extremely necessary in periods like that.
But that's just spent watching more tutorials and getting more excited about stuff. But yeah, no, the bad news is it's just the time is ridiculous. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. But things I never thought possible are being done. But yeah, bad news is takes forever.
What an announcement, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite the tease. I'm excited, but it's this weird mix of like, I want more, but I want to give you space.
Yeah,
So
I almost want to experience it raw.
Right. So we're gonna let you move past that, so we don't pressure you to go on too much. And then if you want to tell us anything off the show, we would love that. But we're gonna answer one last question here, Riley, Bill. This is big time here. Last question of the show, called Possessive Daddy. Title is Possessive Daddy. This is a boy who looks like he's still in school, so maybe a 16 to 19-year-old guy.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of any like identifying names that aren't just generic.
Right. I mean, Possessive Daddy implies sexuality. I'm gonna go and let you know it's not sexual, even though both of those terms seem innately sexual.
We're gonna go for a solid Patrick today.
Patrick. All right. So Patrick asks, "Hey guys, my dad wants my computer, and I don't want to fucking give it to him. How do I say no? He's overly possessive. I was gifted an older Mac, and I use it mainly. I also have this Windows computer that I use less often. He thinks he should have it because I don't use it as often. But he has at least 3 computers now, and he's buying another one this fall. I always feel like I have to covet everything I own because I feel like he'll try to take it from me. I need my Windows computer so I can listen to my tapes for my language studies. My dad is definitely the big dog in the house. No doubt I'm the small one. Because when he gets mad, I just want to throw things around, but I know he'll throw me down. How do I tell him no so he doesn't get me in trouble?"
How many computers does this family need?
It sounds like they got a mandatory 4 to 5 per
Did you
person.
say he's playing tapes on a Windows computer?
Yeah, that's
Language
also a little
tapes.
bit baffling.
That's cool.
This question is written in 2001, of course.
Maybe he means CDs. I don't think.
How
a
does
lot of
Rosetta
Macs
Stone
have,
come?
It definitely used to come on CDs. Everything did, but like, I know Macs probably dropped the disk drive before other computers.
He did say it was an older
Hell
Mac.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
They drop stuff like abruptly. They drop the screen if they could.
Yeah, get rid of the keyboard. Just kind of like look at it and hope for the best.
Well, they would just keep the little keyboard screen on the touch, the touchscreen key on the top.
Just
of
come up with
Yeah.
something that's just one button and like you don't even know.
Yep.
Dude,
That's
there
it.
is in the room next to us, there's an Apple TV remote that is nuts.
It looks like a mini iPhone that's like 2 inches wide.
It's not that nuts. Like, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's like cool as heck looking.
Our whole life is exaggeration, though. So.
Just a tad. That's it's
So
interesting.
that means part of your life is exaggeration. That's what you meant. This is the truth.
See, you never know. It's like
Because his answer,
multifaceted.
his response to you is going to, it's up to interpretation, I guess is what he's saying. It's weird that instead of everybody having like one newer computer, they've taped together 3 to 4 older computers to compensate. It seems cost-wise, if you guys stop buying 3 computers a year, you guys could each just have a nice computer.
Yeah, I do understand having like maybe a Windows and a Mac, especially if you're a creative person. I know a lot of people
Yeah.
like to use Mac for that.
Well,
But
here's something. You and your dad, both big camera people,
Mhm.
and a lot of the equipment you use today is your dad's.
yeah,
When you were younger, was he ever like, I don't know, stringent on you being able to use that stuff? Or
he's never stringent, but it's like I still have to fight him over lenses. Like the lenses that I was using today, I like literally said, "Hey, I'm coming to your house and I'm stealing these lenses," and he's like, "I need them." I'm like,
me too.
I need him more. I'm sorry. And then I took him, and he had left for Atlanta, so it didn't matter. But
He's already gone. All right, he sucks because we'll be back soon.
Yeah, so I have the lenses, which is good. I have more than I need to, which is, I guess, my fault.
I'm just
But-
curious what the dad is doing on the computers.
Right? Like, what do you use multiple for? It's one thing to want to sell it. That's fine.
No, he's he's watching.
Could be talking to other dads.
That's
Ooh, like a social network for just dads.
that would take their son's computers.
A neural network of sorts that connects people via flash drive.
It's
It's
like
a
a-
dad butt.
It's like a blockchain thing, you know. They combine all their power together.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's like Bitcoin.
It's like Bitcoin, but for dads.
Yeah, it's
which
dad
sounds
coin.
like what Bitcoin already is,
Yeah.
if I could be honest with you. I think there's something to be to be said that you're like getting older and almost done with this? Because it sounds like your dad's gonna do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, like just
He's not gonna like change his mind and say, oh, well, that's a pretty compelling argument.
yeah.
You keep your 3, I'll keep my 3. We'll draw this line in the middle of the house, and it's easy as that.
Everybody has 3 computers.
Maybe he's watching Modern Family and it's just not loud enough, so he's gonna sync them all up on Hulu.
That would be terrible. All the buffering. Like, I wonder if it would handle it. It definitely would. They desync so fast.
Maybe they have great internet.
True.
If they have
got
fiber, yeah, they're probably good if they have fiber. So they have fiber, Modern Family up on each of those, and you know Manny is Sofia Vergara's son in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never watched a single episode of Modern Family.
Well, if you do, my recommendation would be to watch it on 3 screens.
Yeah, on three laptops. I'm assuming they're laptops. No family handles desktop this way.
Well, no, they have 9 desktops. He sleeps on the floor because everything is a desk in his house.
Yeah. Sleep on the desk.
I've never had to fight my dad for things. I've never had to fight even girlfriends that I've had for possessions like that. I think I've been fairly, like the only thing I've ever had to fight for is the right side of the bed in a relationship. So like in a relationship, in our bedroom, I like to sleep closest to the door. So if like an intruder comes up, my little 128-pound frame can dive in front of him and take care of the situation. But of course,
yeah.
My girlfriend's stronger than me. So.
I used to sleep by the window. So like if I ever needed to make a quick escape, just open it up, roll out backwards. I live on the 3rd floor though, so it kind of would hurt.
You can't do that. You can't roll out backwards.
Yeah. I mean physically?
Yeah.
Or I could like maybe crab walk.
That's not the same.
It's almost the same. It's tactical.
If James Bond rolled out a window crab walking, that would be dynamic and interesting.
I don't even know if my body could fit through my window. I think about it. It has a screen on it too.
Randy would help push you out.
Oh, Randy would jump with me.
You've been on a couple different shows. When you're on shows like this, and we're getting close to wrapping up, I'm just so curious about this. When you're on shows like this, what are your least favorite things that people in our position do? For future people who ask you on their podcasts.
Well, there's hardly anything that I haven't already heard on the questions page. But the thing is, I don't know. I don't like to think of it that way. I like to think of it as like every question is the right question. And if I can't come up with a good answer, then I screwed up. The customer's always right.
It's a good way to think about it.
I like being the customer. I like being right. I certainly like that part.
I'm too used to being the serving staff.
Are there certain accommodations that you like made, like the green bowl of M&Ms that the rock bands would always ask for? Like, what can future podcasters?
I mean, paying for the flight is super cool. That's always good.
That's gotta be cool.
I mean, these Post-it notes are actually really useful.
You seem incredibly impressed with the Post-it notes. Also.
No, I'm not impressed. They're just useful to, just
kind of dump energy a little bit.
Just like, yeah.
We've always we're thinking, so we're pretty early on this guest thing. We've been doing it for about 6-7 months, and it's gone super well. We've had all sorts of interesting types of people on, but I'd like to be the best in terms of the little things, right? So the green bowl of M&Ms to make sure they're taken care of. Maybe when you're on a flight and they give you the warm towel.
Warm towel's nice.
Is there a warm towel we could have offered you?
For me, it's water is good. It's always good if you're doing a speaking thing. It's just good for your voice. So that's cool.
Sounds like
they got that covered over there in the corner.
I don't want to speak for Bill, but I mean, there's plenty of fucking water here. It
Water.
sounds like
that's all I need, really.
Water.
It sounds like we killed it. We're near the end of the episode. This has been fantastic to have you on. For people who theoretically could be first hearing of you, do you have a starting point for someone who may want to dive in, or
nope?
The pool's the same depth from all the way around, is what you're saying?
I don't know.
He's measuring.
I don't understand the question.
Well, I started with the history of the world, I guess, which I think is probably one of the more common starting points.
There,
But if you haven't heard of Mr. Wurtz, obviously he's been fantastic here. It's totally time to check him out. We're going to have links to his YouTube channel and his incredible website that you can check out in our description. Please check him out. And for anybody who obviously has heard of Bill, please let him know thank you for coming on the show. This has been incredible. If you already like Bill, tweet at him, email him, just say thank you for coming on the show because this has been an incredible experience having you. And we also want to bring up, we just got a message. I got a notification from my mom. She was hoping that I could mention Bill's Patreon. Is it patreon.com/Bill Wurtz?
Yep.
Patreon.com/Bill Wurtz. We'll have a link to that in the description. You'll notice that he puts all of his time and effort and energy into what he does. And for him to continue to do that,
Have some support.
have some support.
Yeah.
GameFly supports us. It's time for you guys to support him. Thank you, Bill, for coming on the show. It's been incredible.
Thanks for
this
yeah,
has been wonderful.
Thanks
man.
for
Thank you for coming.
New episode next Friday, guys. We'll talk to you then. See you soon. Goodbye.
It's Alex Spiegelman on the bunny, wisely limiting his internet contact. Going into a sort of different kind of airplane mode here on the bunny. See, segue. In that we're taking off and trying new things. Always on one kind of musical adventure or another, but one thing I've been keen to do is talk to musicians on the show. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, the first person that I thought of was Bill Wurtz. Now, I urge everyone to go to billwurtz.com because it is sort of his magnum opus. It's the best way to understand the scope of his work. And it's an ongoing piece, all sorts of creations, writings, videos, songs, work tapes, and deceptively simple, but years of work there. But I reached out to Bill. I got to know him, as most people did, through the History of the Entire World, I guess, video on YouTube, which I also urge folks to go through, and another great portal into his work, in that it involves dialogue, and it involves music, and it involves just sort of a world-devouring, omnivorous scope. So we had a long, tangential, wonderful conversation that I edited down a little bit. Admittedly, all of documentary involves the perspective of the editor, so I tried to bring as little of that to the table as possible and just give you the gems from our conversation and also add some of Bill's music in for perspective. But I do urge folks to go check out his work for yourself, and we're going to be dipping into a couple of his songs as well. So, something new on the bunny. Stay tuned for my interview with the great Bill Wurtz. Bill Wurtz, thank you so much for taking the time to join us on the show. I was really excited when you got back to me. I saw an interview that you did fairly recently. I did some research, but not so much so that I got in my head about it. But about like a minute and a half in, you like stopped the interview and dialed it back and were like, I want to acknowledge that this is extremely weird and I'm kind of feeling out of sorts right now. So I want to acknowledge that up top. It's weird to talk to you.
Thank you. Also, yeah, hi.
Hi.
No, that's true. That's true. I need to, yeah, it's going to be, I think I should keep a tally of how many of these things I've done because the brain scramble tends to reduce over time.
Yeah.
You never expect it. You think when you're privately, talking to your friends, you think this is great. I could be on television right now. But then as soon as you are somewhere, it's a similar feeling to, when you visit visit the Grand Canyon, and then there's the part where you step into the Grand Canyon.
Oh, I've never been.
That part where you actually jump off the cliff and start tumbling through the air.
Right.
That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
But I think that's true for everyone.
So we've played a bunch of your music on the show, and I love it, and people have really loved it and responded to it. But I feel like when I'm playing it, there's a lot that I'm missing too. There's so much to what you do that it's really hard to explain or summarize it, because there's visuals, there's dialogue, there's all sorts of sort of disciplines. Like, what's your relationship to the many different things you do? Is it like one thing to you? Is it a bunch of different things? Are they?
There's a tendency to want to do everything, to want to assume infinite different identities and do all that. But then there was sort of an epiphany at one point when I realized I have to admit that I'm just one person with one name, under one roof, one identity, and that's just the way I am. It was weird to have to admit that, but it was a breakthrough, though, to admit that as much as I want to do a million different things, I have to admit that I am just only one person, so I have to combine it all together.
Your music has a lot of humor to it, but it also isn't like gimmicky or silly or shticky. I love your sense of humor, but it doesn't really like ruin your music.
I think that's just the way life is. I don't like the idea of funny things being funny on purpose and being announced as such.
Yeah.
I don't really see how funny things would really work properly if they were always announced like, this is the funny thing, this is not the funny thing. To me, like, the most common sense thing to do is just reverse them. The thing that you think is supposed to be funny, make that the not funny thing, and the thing that's supposed to be the not funny thing, make that funny. Switching it back and forth, it's a guessing game.
Yeah,
that's the only way to have any fun, really, I find.
When I get older, I'm gonna be stronger, so I can lift up the whole entire world. I'm gonna hold it and lift it higher, higher than it's been before. When I hear music, I get excited. I'm gonna sing songs to the whole entire world. And when the whole world sings to the music, that's when I'll know it worked. But my friends say I'm still a baby. Then they threw away my baby shoes. Well, excuse me, I'm going sailing into the ocean blue. When I get older, I'm gonna be wilder and write poetry in my spare time. And I'll use some very interesting metaphors and then post my poems online. Here's a poem about rain.
The last handful of stuff I've seen you posting have been dialogues.
Yeah.
Tell me about that and why it's interesting to you and how it appears.
That's part of the picture. I still have, I'm still looking for the real sweet spot between the music and the non-music. I'm still moving toward that. I still haven't really figured it out, but it remains true for me that non-music and music are soulmates. And I'm still trying to really find a way to get them to live together and to work together. Actually doing things like similar to what filmmakers do.
Yeah.
If I really do want to be like in that medium.
Right.
I certainly was slow in admitting that because I don't see myself working in a team of 1,000. Right. And I don't like the idea of working multiple years just to put out one piece of work.
Yeah.
But I am starting to find some clever ways around that.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like you have a lot of what you need in the sense that you're able to do dialogue and characters and 3D and tell stories. But do you feel like you're reaching the limitations of that?
No. But I'm expanding them.
Yeah.
Very, very gradually. I'm making crazy progress. My character animation systems are it's my own system, and I'm really in the last few years I've really delved deep into computer programming and stuff to really. That's the only way I've been able to do what I've been able to do, especially graphics.
Oh, by building your own tools.
Yeah, a lot of programming to like automate things and then automation on top of the automation. And that's how computer development pretty much works. You program a bunch of stuff and it takes 1,000 years. And then that enables you to have this breakthrough tool that lets you do things in only 100 years instead of 1,000 years. And then you scramble around in the dark there. And then you eventually discover a tool that you can stack on top of that makes things take a shorter amount of time. And it's bizarre how, I studied the history of the world a few years back to make a video on it, like all the way through, like from animals to humans. It's shocking how much that reminds me of that. when I'm working on computer programming, I
Yeah.
realize this is a natural property of like the universe, or a natural property of creative development. Because
Right.
the exact same thing is happening as I'm developing these programs over years and months. Exact same thing happened with like humanity in like spending a billion years, and then finally they discover fire and stuff, and then finally they discover language, and then
Right.
finally they discover how to write it down.
Yeah.
And each time you discover something, your life gets a lot easier.
Yeah.
And each step goes quicker. It's really crazy.
Well, do you
It's
know
something.
about Ray Kurzweil at all? Have you ever read
course.
any of his? Yeah.
Yeah. I know about him. Yeah.
And I saw
And
some.
he knows about that. In fact,
Yeah.
that's his whole deal when he does Moore's
Right.
law.
It's not linear progression. It has this like.
Of course.
What do they call it? I forget the
Exponential.
name of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Exponential. Yeah.
So you feel like that you're getting exponential progress in your. I mean,
right. But the funny thing about that is, I mean, everyone always talks about exponential progress as if it's like some sort of thing that launches and takes off extremely suddenly and goes.
Right.
But a lot of people forget exponential growth actually goes extremely slow
For the
an
majority.
extremely long time
Right,
before you finally see that happen.
yeah.
So that's kind of frustrating sometimes. Congratulations, the world is now a bunch of gas in space. But it's getting closer together. And it's getting closer together. And it's getting closer together. It's a star. New shit just got made. Some stars burn out and die. Bigger stars burn out and die with passion and make some brand new, way crazier shit.
Space dust,
Which allows newer, more interesting stars to be made and then die and explode into.
even crazier space dust.
I tend to be very, very, very careful, very scared, very hesitant for a long time.
Yeah.
To the point where you almost think that I'm not going to make it, that
Right.
I'm not going to get out of this, I'm not going to untangle myself because I'm so damn careful. And I don't even fully understand this, but I know that it's something that happens to me. It applies to everything in my life. When I'm waking up in the morning,
Yeah.
I do not get out of bed. I just wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And finally, eventually, just when you think that I'm too late and I'm never going to make it, eventually I'm like out the door in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with like all of my work. It's the same way with everything I do. I was born that way. I was
Yeah.
2 weeks late, but I was extremely quick.
But then you popped right out. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's bizarre. It really applies to everything, and I really can't, I'm powerless to stop it, and it drives me absolutely crazy. But I've learned to just accept that.
Just did a bad thing. I regret the thing I did. And you're wondering what it is. Tell you what I did. Did a bad thing. I'm having a bad day. It's turning into a bad year. All the things I'm supposed to do and the places I'm supposed to go are canceled. Hey, what's the name of this game? How do you play it? And how long does it take? How many times is the game going to change? Hey, let me out of this place, out into the real world where maybe things can go my way. Oh, everything goes my way. Oh, everyone knows my name.
Well, songwriting is a really funny thing, and I think a lot of songwriters will say the same thing about it. It's a totally magical thing, and we don't know how it happens or where it really comes from.
Yeah.
And the comfortable speed for it to happen at is just about instantaneous. The song wants to be written as fast as it's played.
Right.
And ultimately, when you're songwriting, when you do eventually get the idea, which might be immediately or it might be after fumbling around in the desert for 1,000 years, eventually when that idea does happen and the actual songwriting does occur, it's at full speed.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's at full speed. And you better be be good at writing it down or picking it up or recording it or whatever you got to do. You better catch it because you can't really, every time you stop it and try to play it back, you lose, it loses quality. So it's just a mysterious thing. Songwriting is a very mysterious thing. In one sense, yes, it's true that like the song truly wants to just drop out of the sky. But if you think that you've failed, if it doesn't drop out of the sky immediately, then you can get into a real cycle of failure and doubt. So you don't want to do that either. It's obnoxious how maybe this is just me. Maybe this is just, again, like my brain destroying itself. But you also, I mean, you have to be open to both ways, you know?
Yeah.
Because the more you want it, here's the other thing. The more you want it, the less you will get it. I mean, the songwriting is very, very shy.
Yeah.
Like the song is very shy. It won't come to you if you press on it too hard.
I'm gonna write a song on the count of 3. I'm gonna do it right on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it looks like you believed me.
Let me ask you a bit of a weird question in the sense that there are all these technical disciplines that you're part of, but at the same time it seems like you have almost this sort of spiritual belief in how art is created. Are there any of those? Are there any sort of spiritual traditions or thinkers or what have you that have, that you found kinship with, that you admire?
I think so, but I wouldn't want to. I think so, but I wouldn't want to single any of them out individually because,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can. I certainly can't single anything out by name or anything.
Or a book that you've read, or a
no, couldn't single it out. In fact, that's the whole point: is you can't really single out one thing individually.
No, absolutely. I mean, I understand that that inclination. Are you hesitant?
There's this time. I remember there was a time when a friend of mine invited me over, and we listened to a bunch of music. And there's this feeling you can get into a sort of trance where you feel like the thing that you're listening to right now holds the freaking key to the universe.
Yeah.
It's really easy to get into that mindset. Well, easier. I mean, whatever. We find ourselves in that mindset sometimes where whatever movie we're watching or thing we're listening to, we think, oh my God, this is it. This thing has got it. This thing has it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that's true. But they're not the only ones who have it.
Yeah.
But it's true. They do. But also kind of everyone has it, but it's weird like that.
Well, no, it can be as much the people that you're hanging out with, or the time in your life, or the time of the evening, or the smell of what's being cooked in the room, or that kind of thing. Yeah,
yeah. But I think a general ground rule is that everything has it.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything in the world has the quality of knowing everything in the world. Everything in the world has that quality to it that it holds all the answers in a way. Really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I couldn't think of a better place to wrap up. Thanks for talking to me. Thanks for taking the time and sharing what you have.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Cool. All right. Have a good rest of your day, man.
All right.
Good talking to you.
See you later.